galaxy had always been orderly, or so the alien races believed. Across thousands of star systems, empires thrived, alliances formed and collapsed, and ancient species, older than the light of a million suns, ruled with pride and precision. Their technology was unmatched. Their fleets could annihilate planets in moments. Their minds were brilliant, calculating, methodical. And then there were the humans. When the first human starship appeared at the edge of the Tauran expanse, the alien council regarded it with amusement. The Cinder, a race of insectoid strategists, laughed openly at the tiny, fragile-looking vessel. A primitive species, they said. Barely space-worthy. They will perish before even understanding the rules of war. The humans, however, did not know the rules. They wrote their own. Captain Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of the ISS Dauntless, her eyes fixed on the swirling nebula ahead. The vessel was a patchwork of human ingenuity, ancient engines modified with alien tech scavenged from border skirmishes, reinforced hulls made from composite alloys, and weaponry that combined energy pulses with kinetic projectiles. To the aliens it was a primitive joke. To Ilara it was a harbinger of surprise. "Status report," she demanded, her voice calm but resolute. "Multiple Cinder interceptors approaching, Captain. Estimated time to engagement, 3 minutes, reported Lieutenant Ryan, the ship's tactical officer. His fingers danced over the console, eyes scanning the streams of data. Ilara smiled faintly. "Let's give them a show." The first wave of alien ships descended like a black storm, triangular warcraft bristling with disruptors and plasma cannons. The Dauntless, a single human ship among dozens, seemed hopelessly outmatched. But humans were unpredictable, chaotic, even to the most disciplined minds of the galaxy. As the Cinder opened fire, the Dauntless vanished from the sensor grid, moving with an erratic pattern that no algorithm could predict. Energy beams swept past harmlessly. Within minutes, one by one, the alien interceptors were reduced to drifting wrecks, explosions blooming like fireworks against the dark backdrop of space. From the Cinder flagship, the Supreme Commander Tkar clenched his claws. "Impossible," he hissed. "They are adapting, calculating. No, anticipating." Meanwhile, on the Dauntless, Ilara tapped a sequence into the command console. "Deploy swarm drones. Pattern Theta 9. Let's see how they like human improvisation." The drones, small, fast, and armed with unpredictable trajectories, tore through the Cinder fleet. Every move of the humans seemed random, yet perfectly lethal. The Cinder had expected predictable behavior. They had never fought a species that could combine instinct, intuition, and rapid learning at such levels. By the time the battle ended, nearly a dozen alien ships lay in flames, while the humans sustained minor hull damage. The victory was brief but seismic. Word of the encounter spread faster than light itself. Across the galaxy, the message was clear. Humans were not to be underestimated. Back on Earth, the United Nations Space Command convened an emergency session. The President, a woman with steel in her eyes, addressed the Council. "We are no longer alone," she said. "And every species out there believes they can predict us. They're wrong. The galaxy will learn to fear humans not because we wish to, but because we must survive." In the Cinder capital, Tkar's rage boiled. "We are centuries ahead," he said, his voice echoing in the chamber. "Yet these creatures, they are something else entirely. Prepare the fleets. Do not underestimate them again." The first human diplomatic envoy was dispatched to the Galactic Council, a fragile, dangerous journey. The envoy ship, sleek and unassuming, was boarded by representatives of 4 powerful alien races: the Cinder, the crystalline Virilians, the reptilian Kthar, and the enigmatic Shalari. The council chamber was immense, a cathedral of light and alien geometry. Holographic maps of entire star systems floated above the floor. Aliens of every imaginable shape and size watched the humans with curiosity and skepticism. Ilara's voice rang out in perfect common galactic, clear, unshakable. "We come in peace, but understand this: humanity does not back down. We value life, yet we will defend our own. If you choose to underestimate us, you will regret it." Murmurs swept through the council. The Virilians, tall crystalline beings, tilted their angular heads. "You speak of regret, little species. You have no fleets, no technology comparable to ours. Why should we fear you?" Ilara's eyes did not waver. "Because humans are not measured by what we have. We are measured by what we do when every option is impossible." A silence fell. Then the Shalari representative, its form shifting like liquid smoke, whispered, "There is a spark in them, something ancient, something dangerous." And so it began. The galaxy believed it could contain humans. They were wrong. From that day, every major power began recalculating. Every strategy, every fleet formation, every political maneuver now considered a single variable: the humans. And in the cold expanse of space, the Dauntless sped forward, carrying the first human challenge to a galaxy that had never known what it truly meant to fight humans. The galaxy underestimated humans. That mistake would cost worlds. 3 months after the Dauntless' daring encounter with the Cinder, humanity's presence was no longer a curiosity, it was a thorn in the side of the Galactic Order. Entire sectors buzzed with rumors. Human fleets had appeared in border systems not to conquer, but to secure resources for survival, trade for technology, and quietly to study alien methods of warfare. The Council of Elders, representing the Cinder, Virilians, Kthar and Shalari, convened a summit on the neutral moon of Irinder 9. Its surface shimmered with crystalline forests and metallic lakes, a world that reflected the stars like glass. In the council hall, tension crackled like static electricity. Supreme Commander Tkar banged a claw on the council table. The humans are not a threat yet. But they are unpredictable. Every encounter has ended in failure for our fleets. We must strike decisively, before they grow stronger. The Virilian ambassador, a towering being of living crystal, tilted slightly. And what is your plan? They adapt faster than our intelligence predicts. Their ingenuity is alarming. The Kthar representative hissed, a coil of scales vibrating. We strike at the heart. Destroy their command centers, their colonies, and they will falter. Simple logic. Shalari voices echoed like rippling water. Simple logic does not apply to humans. I have observed them closely. They embrace chaos, yet it works in their favor. They turn desperation into strength. Despite the warnings, the Council voted. A coalition fleet, over 3,000 warships, would converge on Sol System, humanity's home, intending to crush the fledgling species before it could truly rise. On Earth, the humans did not wait. Admiral Jace Navarro stood on the bridge of the USS Ascendant, a battleship larger than any Cinder cruiser, its hull a patchwork of human ingenuity and captured alien tech. Screens lit his face with data. Fleet positions, orbital trajectories, and projections of enemy movements. Sir, sensors detect a massive fleet entering the system, Lieutenant Mira Khan reported. They're splitting into 5 vectors. This is unprecedented. Navarro's eyes narrowed. Good. Let them come. Prepare the planetary defense grid. Activate the diversion protocols. We will not fight like they expect. Humans do not follow predictable patterns. In orbit above Mars, the first human ambush was set. The Ascendant and accompanying vessels used electromagnetic interference to scramble alien sensors. Mines, small, self-propelled, and intelligent, drifted silently toward the incoming fleet. The first wave of Cinder warships entered orbit, expecting a straightforward engagement. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a gauntlet of explosive devices, each detonating in carefully calculated sequences. One by one, the ships were disabled, some caught in chain reactions that left entire squadrons drifting as debris. The humans had studied alien behavior with obsessive intensity. Every maneuver the Cinder tried, the Ascendant anticipated, not because humans were faster but because humans thought differently. Where aliens relied on rigid strategy, humans embraced improvisation. Where aliens calculated outcomes, humans created new possibilities. On the bridge of the Ascendant, Navarro leaned forward. Deploy the Harbinger drones. Let's show them human unpredictability. The drones, small and sleek, could merge into massive swarms mid-flight, forming shapes that disrupted alien targeting systems. Energy cannons fired blindly into the swirling mass, only to be struck by precise counterattacks. Within hours, more than 100 alien ships were destroyed, their fleet retreating in disarray. But the victory came at a cost. The Ascendant took damage. Mars' orbital defenses were nearly depleted. And human casualties reminded everyone that, despite ingenuity, they were mortal. Yet even in loss, humans inspired awe. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, alien fleets sent urgent messages to one another. Humans were not only fighting back, they were rewriting the rules of warfare. In the Virilian capital, the crystalline ambassador shattered a ceremonial prism in frustration. This is impossible. Their tactics, no algorithm can predict them. They fight like a living storm. And then came the human counteroffensive. Rather than merely defending, humans launched surgical strikes at key alien supply lines. Small fleets, operating like predators, struck at refueling stations, communication satellites, and research outposts. Every move was calculated to sow confusion, destroy morale, and force the aliens to overextend. In one shocking encounter near the Cinder homeworld, a squadron of 12 human ships engaged over 200 alien vessels. Using a combination of deception, electronic warfare, and hyper-accelerated assault maneuvers, the humans annihilated half the fleet before disappearing into a nearby nebula. Tkar roared in rage. How can they do this? They should not exist yet. They fight like gods. And humans did not stop there. They began forging alliances with minor races, sharing technology and knowledge, creating a coalition that grew stronger by the day. Systems that had previously been neutral or enslaved joined humanity not out of fear, but respect and hope. Even the Shalari, masters of stealth and manipulation, whispered among themselves, "The humans are different. They are apex predators in every sense. They fight not for conquest alone but for survival and honor. Their hearts burn brighter than any star we know." By the end of the campaign, entire fleets had been shattered, key worlds secured, and humanity's reputation solidified. The galaxy learned a brutal lesson: humans did not follow rules. Humans did not bend. Humans endured. In a council chamber above Irinder 9, Tkar slammed his claws again. "We must regroup. Humanity is not just a threat. They are the storm itself." Across the stars, Admiral Navarro transmitted a message to every system in the galaxy: "We fight to survive. We fight to protect. And we fight so the galaxy may remember one truth: you do not underestimate humanity." The first war was over. The first strike had been repelled. But the galaxy had changed. In the hearts of every alien species, a seed of fear had been planted. A fear that would grow as humans revealed just how far they could rise. And somewhere in deep space, the Dauntless sped toward the unknown, carrying with it the promise that this was only the beginning of a war the galaxy would never forget. The first strike had been repelled, and humanity's courage had become legend across the stars. But survival was only the beginning. Now humans were on the offensive, proving that their ingenuity extended far beyond defense. Admiral Jace Navarro stood on the bridge of the USS Ascendant II, a larger vessel than any the galaxy had seen. Its hull gleamed like black obsidian, and its weapon systems combined human precision with captured alien technology. Around him, officers worked in silence, the hum of the ship's engines echoing through the steel corridors. "Status report," Navarro demanded. Lieutenant Mira Khan's fingers danced over the holo display. "Fleet is ready, sir. All 12 human battle groups are deployed along the expanse's outer rim. Cinder fleets are regrouping near the Kyler cluster. Virelian reinforcements are mobilizing, but intelligence indicates hesitation." Navarro nodded. "Good. Launch the Vortex operations. We hit supply lines and orbital installations simultaneously. Let the galaxy learn that humans can strike anywhere at any time." Meanwhile, the Council of Elders had begun to fracture. The Cinder insisted on full-scale retaliation. "Crush them now before they expand further," Tkar demanded. The Kthar were reluctant, haunted by memories of ambushes that had decimated their fleets. The Shalari whispered in shadows, advocating caution. "Do not underestimate their cunning," one said. "They will lure you into traps you cannot escape." The first human offensive struck like a phantom. In less than a week, 3 strategic supply hubs were destroyed in the Virelian sector. Human ships, small and fast, bypassed alien patrols, striking in unexpected vectors before vanishing into nebulae or asteroid fields. On the crystalline planet Virelia Prime, Ambassador Thal shattered his communication console in disbelief. "How can they move so fast? How can they know every weakness before we even notice it?" Back in human space, civilians watched the campaigns unfold with awe and pride. For humanity, war was not only survival, it was an expression of creativity, adaptability, and unity. Each human fleet acted like a living organism, improvising and learning from every encounter. The Shalari, masters of subtlety, sent emissaries to negotiate secretly with humans. They offered knowledge of hidden wormholes and tactical anomalies, information that could shift the balance of war. In return, the Shalari sought observation and understanding of human resilience. Ilara Voss, now a senior commander, met with them on the edge of the Andromeda Rift. "You seek to understand us," she said, her voice steady. "Do not mistake curiosity for weakness. We fight, we survive, and we adapt. That is all you need to know." The emissaries, their forms flowing like liquid smoke, tilted. "We have never seen a species like this, a species that turns desperation into brilliance." Meanwhile, in space above the Kyler cluster, a fleet of human vessels waited in ambush. Sensors picked up Cinder reinforcements, a fleet of 600 warships, expecting a defensive engagement. What they encountered was something they could not anticipate. Navarro's voice echoed across the channels, "Initiate Operation Chimera." The fleet split into phantom-like groups, moving unpredictably. Human ships vanished and reappeared, striking at weak points in the alien formation. Plasma arrays overloaded, disruptors misfired, and the Cinder fleet began to fracture. Small, targeted strikes crippled key command vessels, leaving the rest disorganized. By the end of the battle, only a third of the enemy ships remained combat effective. The galaxy watched in shock. Never before had a species fought with such precision and improvisation. Across the council chambers, alien leaders whispered warnings to one another. Humans were not only a threat, they were rewriting the very definition of warfare. At the same time, human strategists were conducting campaigns on multiple fronts. On the icy moon of Ataris, human engineers deployed electromagnetic pulse arrays that disabled the communications of an entire Varelian fleet. On the desert world of Raxus, human forces seized a critical orbital station, cutting supply lines and turning the planet into a forward base. Even when faced with overwhelming numbers, humans used ingenuity over sheer force. In one legendary engagement, only 4 human ships faced 70 Cthar vessels near the Amrian Nebula. By exploiting local gravity wells and magnetic storms, they turned the nebula into a trap. The Cthar lost half their fleet, retreating in confusion, their pride shattered. Back in the human command center on Earth, Navarro addressed the fleet over a broadcast. "We do not fight for conquest. We fight to survive. We fight to show the galaxy that a species determined, united, and clever can rise against impossible odds. Remember this, humans do not yield." But humans were not without sacrifice. Every engagement cost lives, every victory demanded endurance. Families on Earth prayed for their loved ones among the stars. The emotional weight of war pressed on commanders and soldiers alike, reminding all that even in triumph humanity bore the cost of mortality. As Part 3 closed, the Council of Elders convened again, fractured and trembling. The Cinder advocated total war, the Cthar argued for withdrawal, the Varelians, terrified, suggested negotiations, and the Shalari whispered about something older, something dangerous in humanity that no one yet fully understood. Ilara Voss, standing on the bridge of the Dauntless, gazed into the starfield ahead. "They think they understand us," she said quietly. "They don't. And when they realize what we are capable of, it will be too late." The galaxy's map had shifted. Humans were no longer the hunted, they were the hunters, shaping the course of war with cunning, courage, and a brilliance no one could predict. The war was far from over. But every star, every planet, every fleet now carried the knowledge that humanity was no ordinary species. Humanity was the storm the galaxy had ignored, and the storm was only beginning to rage. The galaxy had begun to learn a painful truth: humans could not be predicted, contained, or ignored. Their victories in the Expanse and Kyler cluster had shattered not just fleets, but the very confidence of alien civilizations. In the Varelian capital, crystalline towers shimmered with light, reflecting the urgency and fear within. Ambassador Thal called an emergency session of the council. "The humans are everywhere," he said, his crystalline form vibrating with frustration. "Every time we think we can corner them, they vanish. Every time we plan, they improvise. We are losing control." The Cthar representative hissed, her scales flashing in anger. "Control? We are losing more than that. Our fleets are shattered. Entire worlds are on the brink. These humans, they are not soldiers. They are predators. They adapt. They endure. We cannot predict them." The Shalari remained silent, watching the debate with inscrutable eyes. "It is not just fleets you are losing," they whispered. "It is confidence, pride. And soon, it will be your alliances." And they were right. Across the galaxy, minor races began secretly negotiating with humans. Systems previously loyal to the Cinder or Varelians quietly sent emissaries to the Ascendant 2 and the Dauntless, offering resources, intelligence, and safe passage. Humans did not demand fealty, they offered partnership. This subtle diplomacy fractured alien coalitions from within, leaving the Council struggling to maintain unity. Admiral Navarro, aboard the Ascendant 2, studied holomaps of the galaxy. "They think they can overwhelm us with numbers," he said. "Let them try. Every overextension they make will be an opportunity. Every assumption they make about our behavior will be a trap. Humanity fights best when we are underestimated." And the humans were underestimated everywhere. The next campaign was audacious. Using secret wormholes revealed by Shalari informants, humans launched coordinated strikes at 3 alien strongholds simultaneously: the Cinder homeworld of Karis, the crystalline Varelian fortress world of Krythos, and a Kthar supply hub orbiting the gas giant Yxtar. Each assault was a masterpiece of strategy. In orbit above Karis, human ships used orbital gravity manipulation to fling debris into cinder formations, creating instant choke points. Electronic jamming arrays disabled enemy communications, while precision strikes targeted power cores, leaving entire fleets crippled without warning. On Krythos, a single human battle group disguised itself as a refugee convoy, slipping past orbital defenses. Once inside, the fleet deployed nanite-based sabotage drones that infected Varelian ship systems. Over hours, the once pristine crystalline fleet was rendered immobile, as if the ships themselves had turned against their owners. The Yxtar engagement was even more daring. Outnumbered 10-1, human ships used the gas giant's storms to mask their movements. They struck with coordinated ferocity, destroying supply ships while leaving the Kthar flagship bewildered and isolated. By the time reinforcements arrived, the humans had vanished into the thick layers of the planet's atmosphere, leaving only chaos behind. Across the galaxy, alien leaders whispered fears that had never existed before. "This is not war," Tkar admitted in a private meeting. "This is annihilation disguised as strategy. We are not fighting humans. We are reacting to them, and failing." Even minor races, emboldened by human diplomacy, began defecting. Star systems that had once supplied the Cinder or Kthar now fed humans intelligence, logistics, and weapons. Humanity's rise was not only due to brilliance in battle. It was brilliance in understanding psychology, alliances, and the weaknesses of overconfident empires. But the human command knew the war was far from over. Admiral Navarro convened his senior officers on the Ascendant too. "We are winning, yes," he said. "But the galaxy's great powers will learn. And when they do, they will strike back with everything they have. We must be ready, and we must be smarter." Ilara Voss, standing beside him, added, "Let them strike. Let them think they understand us. By the time they realize the truth, humanity will be beyond their reach. We do not follow rules. We create them." As humans consolidated victories across multiple systems, a shocking development unfolded. The Cinder attempted a direct assault on Earth itself, dispatching a fleet of 1,200 warships in a coordinated attack. It was the largest offensive humanity had ever faced. But the humans anticipated it. Using a combination of deception, diversionary fleets, and hidden planetary defense arrays, they lured the Cinder into the Gravitas Nebula. Their electromagnetic storms and human-engineered mines tore through the alien ships. Within days, nearly half the invading fleet was annihilated while human casualties were minimal. The victory was cinematic, but it also sent a message across the stars. Humans could not be cornered, crushed, or defeated through conventional means. They fought like the galaxy had never seen, a blend of courage, intuition, improvisation, and sheer cunning. In a private chamber aboard the Cinder flagship, Supreme Commander Tkar stared at the holographic display of the battlefield. "We cannot predict them. We cannot contain them. Every plan fails. Every strike is turned against us. Humanity, they are monsters." The Shalari, observing in secret, whispered, "Not monsters. Apex predators. The galaxy will remember them, but they may yet surpass all of us, if they survive." And survive they did. By the end of Part 4, human forces controlled strategic sectors, alien alliances teetered on the brink of collapse, and the galaxy had begun to fear a species it once dismissed as insignificant. Humanity was no longer the underdog. Humanity was the storm, and the galaxy had only glimpsed its first fury. By the time the galaxy realized the scope of the threat, humanity had already begun reshaping it. What had started as survival now became strategy, projection, and inevitability. Humans were no longer reacting, they were dictating the terms of war. Admiral Jace Navarro surveyed the galactic map aboard the USS Ascendant II, now surrounded by a coalition fleet of over 1,000 vessels, human, allied minor races, and captured alien ships. The strategic plan was bold: simultaneous campaigns in multiple sectors to stretch enemy fleets, fracture alliances, and establish dominance over key supply lines. "Fleet deployment is ready, sir," reported Lieutenant Mira Khan. "All battle groups in position. Enemy intelligence suggests a Cinder-K-Tharvarelian coalition forming near the Oriath sector. Estimated engagement in less than 48 hours. Navarro's face was calm, but his eyes burned with determination. "Then let's give them a war they'll never forget." Prepare the Hyperion Protocol. Deploy stealth fleets along vectors Gamma, Delta, and Theta. When the signal hits, we strike from 3 directions simultaneously. Humanity does not fight linearly, we fight unpredictably. On the Cinder homeworld of Caris, Supreme Commander Tkar convened the largest war council in history. Hundreds of alien generals crowded the massive chamber, their claws and limbs twitching with anticipation and fear. They have grown too fast, hissed a Cthar warlord. We underestimated them. Every time we strike, they anticipate, adapt, and devastate us. The Varelian ambassador, voice trembling in crystalline resonance, added, even our intelligence fails. Their strategy, their coordination, is beyond comprehension. Tar slammed a claw on the table. We will crush them. Earth will burn if we have to wipe out their homeworld to send a message. We cannot fail again. Yet Tkar did not know the humans. The Hyperion Protocol had already been set in motion. The first strike occurred in the Oriath Nebula, a dense cloud of plasma and magnetic storms. The human fleet, invisible to alien sensors, emerged from the nebula in sudden coordinated attacks. Ships split into unpredictable formations, concentrating firepower on command vessels while evading counterattacks with erratic maneuvers that defied conventional physics calculations. One by one, Cinder cruisers were disabled, their systems overloaded by electromagnetic pulses specifically engineered to exploit Cinder technology. The Cthar flagship, expecting a direct confrontation, was lured into a gravitational trap formed by human-engineered satellites orbiting a nearby star. Its engines were ripped apart by tidal forces, leaving the ship stranded and vulnerable. Simultaneously, human battle groups struck at Varelian supply depots and orbital defenses. Using stealth drones and adaptive nanotechnology, they sabotaged entire fleets before a single shot was fired. By the end of the first wave, human forces had crippled 3 major alien fleets with losses negligible compared to the devastation inflicted. Across the galaxy, alien powers panicked. Minor races defected to humanity in droves, bringing with them fleets, technology, and crucial intelligence. The balance of power shifted rapidly. The once imposing alien coalition began to fracture under pressure, each member blaming the others for strategic failures and misjudgments. In the heart of battle, human commanders displayed an unparalleled blend of foresight and improvisation. Captain Alara Voss led a strike force deep into the Cinder home system, bypassing planetary defenses entirely using quantum slipstream drives. Her squadron attacked key orbital platforms, cutting supply lines and crippling planetary shields. Tar, watching the holographic display of Caris in flames, realized the unthinkable. They do not follow our logic. They do not fight as we expect. They evolve in real time. They are apex predators. Back on Earth, President Kayla Renner addressed the coalition fleet. Her voice broadcast to thousands of ships. We fight not to dominate but to survive. We fight not for glory but for our right to exist. Humanity's strength lies in our unity, our ingenuity, and our refusal to yield. Let the galaxy remember, humans do not surrender. The war escalated further when humans launched a daring offensive at the Shalari stronghold into the Lax Rift. The Shalari had remained enigmatic, observing humans with cautious fascination. But even they were caught off guard. Using decoy fleets, stealth infiltration teams, and targeted strikes, human forces disabled the Shalari's main communications network and captured a key research facility. The Shalari emissaries, usually fluid and untouchable, confronted Alara Voss directly. Your species, it is unlike anything we have encountered. You are not merely adaptive. You are beyond adaptation. You are evolution itself. Alara's response was simple. We survive. We endure. And when the galaxy tests us, we rise. That is all you need to know. By the end of Part 5, humanity controlled strategic choke points, key supply lines, and major fleets across multiple sectors. The once imposing alien coalition was in disarray, minor races flocked to humanity's banner, and the galaxy had begun to recognize a new truth. Humans were not just a rising power, they were an unstoppable force. Even in victory, humans remained vigilant. Admiral Navarro, gazing at the vast starfield, reflected on the path ahead. This is far from over, he said. The galaxy will fight back with everything it has. But every battle, every strategy, every alliance we forge strengthens us. We are not just surviving, we are ascending. And humanity did ascend. The war that had begun as a desperate struggle for survival had evolved into a demonstration of apex intelligence, adaptability, and power. Humanity was no longer the species that aliens underestimated, They were the species the galaxy would come to fear. The storm was rising and the final chapters of this war were approaching. The galaxy was in chaos. Humanity had grown from underdogs to apex predators, controlling fleets, strategic choke points, and alliances that the ancient empires could no longer ignore. But with every victory came new dangers. The alien coalition, battered and fractured, was consolidating its remaining power for a final, desperate counterstrike. Admiral Jace Navarro stood on the bridge of the USS Ascendant 3, the largest human battleship yet constructed. Its blackened hull reflected the stars, engines humming with barely restrained energy. Around him, human officers coordinated the movements of fleets spanning 3 sectors, while intelligence reports predicted the coalition's next strike. "Sir," Lieutenant Mira Khan said, eyes scanning the holomap. "The remaining Cinder, Cthar and Varelian forces have combined near the Arcturus Rift. Estimated fleet strength, 2,500 warships. They intend to strike at Earth simultaneously." Navarro's expression hardened. "They think they can crush us in one blow. Prepare the planetary defense arrays, deploy all forward battle groups, and activate the shadow grid. This fight will decide the war." On Earth, President Kayla Renner addressed the planet. Her speech was broadcast across every city, every colony, every fleet. "We have survived. We have endured. But the galaxy will test us again. This is the crucible and humanity will not falter. Remember, our strength lies not just in our technology, but in our unity, our courage, and our resolve." The alien fleets arrived with brutal precision. Their numbers were overwhelming and their formations disciplined. Yet humans did not retreat. The Ascendant 3 and accompanying fleets engaged in a dazzling display of tactics designed to exploit every flaw in the alien formations. The first strike was in the Arcturus Rift, where magnetic storms and asteroid clusters created perfect cover. Human ships used the terrain to vanish and reappear, striking from unexpected angles. Swarms of drones, each independently adaptive, tore through enemy sensors and fire control systems, leaving alien ships disoriented. On Earth's orbital defenses, planetary cannons powered by human-engineered fusion reactors fired with uncanny accuracy. Enemy projectiles were intercepted mid-flight, and key alien vessels were crippled before they could reach critical range. Yet the human fleet suffered. Explosions rocked the Ascendant 3 and casualty reports streamed in. But humans adapted. Ships damaged beyond repair were used as decoys, crews improvised with spare parts, boarding parties infiltrated enemy vessels, turning their own weapons against them. In the midst of battle, Captain Alara Voss led a strike force into the heart of the Arcturus Rift. Their mission: destroy the enemy flagship and sever the command chain of the coalition. The flagship was a massive Cinder dreadnought, bristling with energy weapons and planetary-scale disruptors. "Engage stealth mode," Alara commanded. "We move like shadows, strike like thunder." Her squadron weaved through magnetic storms and gravitational eddies, invisible to sensors. They deployed synchronized EMP pulses that crippled the dreadnought's shields. Boarding pods launched, carrying elite human soldiers. Within hours, the flagship was under human control, its systems turned against the remaining alien vessels. From the flagship's command bridge, Supreme Commander Tkar roared in fury. "Impossible. How can they be everywhere at once? How can they adapt to every contingency?" Alara's voice, calm and resolute, carried over the calm. "You made the mistake of underestimating humanity. That was your first and last mistake." Across the galaxy, other human battle groups executed equally daring maneuvers. On the gas giant Lyrian, humans turned the planet's storms into a shield, striking from behind cyclones that disrupted alien targeting. On the moon of Varelia Prime, human commandos destroyed orbital weapons platforms, crippling enemy artillery before it could fire. The tide of battle turned. Alien fleets, despite their numbers, faltered under the humans' relentless combination of strategy, improvisation, and unpredictability. Defections increased as minor races switched allegiance mid-battle, tipping local engagements decisively in favor of humanity. Yet even in victory, humans were reminded of their mortality. The Ascendant 3 suffered critical damage, and hundreds of human lives were lost in daring boarding operations and orbital bombardments. Every triumph carried a cost, and the weight of leadership pressed heavily on Navarro and his officers. At the height of the battle, the Shalari emissaries observing the conflict whispered among themselves, "This species, it is not merely adaptive. It is evolution itself made manifest. They survive where logic fails. They endure where others perish. They are inevitable." By the end of the engagement, the Coalition's remaining forces were shattered. The Cinder homeworld was left vulnerable, the Varelian fleets crippled, and the Cthar forces scattered across multiple systems. Humanity had survived the Crucible. Humanity had endured the galaxy's full wrath. In the aftermath, Earth's leaders and human commanders surveyed the battlefield. "We have paid a price," President Renner said quietly. "But humanity has emerged stronger, united, and respected. The galaxy will never underestimate us again." Admiral Navarro stood on the bridge, gazing at the stars. They thought this was their war. They thought they could test us, destroy us, contain us. They were wrong. Humanity has faced the Crucible, and we are unbroken. The final chapter is near, and when it is written, the galaxy will know one truth: humanity is apex. Humanity is eternal. And somewhere beyond the stars, the remnants of the alien fleets retreated, carrying the knowledge that humans were not merely a species. They were a force the galaxy could neither predict nor defeat. The stage was set for the final confrontation. Humanity had survived the Crucible. Humanity had proven its supremacy. And now the climax of the war was approaching. The galaxy held its breath. After years of relentless conflict, humanity had survived impossible odds, outwitted every alien empire, and shattered alliances once thought unbreakable. But the final challenge awaited: the Coalition's last stronghold in the heart of the Centauri expanse, a system fortified with fleets, orbital defenses, and planetary-scale weapons designed to crush humanity once and for all. Admiral Jace Navarro stood on the bridge of the USS Ascendant 4, the pinnacle of human engineering. The ship's hull gleamed with adaptive armor, weapon systems bristled with both human and alien technology, and the engines hummed with a barely contained energy that promised speed and power no fleet could match. Surrounding him were over 1,000 ships from human and allied forces, each ready for the final engagement. "Status report," Navarro demanded. Lieutenant Miracon's eyes scanned the holomap. "All fleets in position. Enemy intelligence confirms over 3,000 Coalition vessels, planetary orbital defenses, and 2 fully operational war platforms. Estimated casualties are significant, sir." Navarro's expression was calm but determined. "Then we make history. Humanity fights not because we desire war, but because we survive. Deploy the Phoenix Protocol. Every fleet moves simultaneously. Every attack is synchronized. Let them feel the storm they underestimated for so long." On the Coalition side, Supreme Commander Tkar Claws clenched the control console of the Coalition flagship. The galaxy's most powerful fleets were arrayed before him, yet even he could sense the tremor of uncertainty. Humanity had survived everything. They had outthought, outmaneuvered, and outlasted the greatest powers in existence. Could they truly be stopped? The battle began with blinding speed. Human fleets emerged from hidden wormholes, asteroid fields, and nebulae, striking simultaneously across multiple vectors. Precision strikes disabled command vessels, orbital weapons, and supply lines before the Coalition could respond. Electromagnetic pulses overloaded sensors, and adaptive drones targeted key weapon systems, leaving enemy ships vulnerable. On the ground, planetary defenses activated, firing everything from plasma cannons to orbital railguns. Human pilots, trained for both space and atmospheric combat, dodged, weaved, and counterattacked with uncanny coordination. Every move was unpredictable, every tactic adaptive, every strike devastating. Captain Hilaire Voss led the dauntless vanguard into the core of the enemy formation, navigating through heavy fire to board the flagship war platform of the Coalition. Her squad infiltrated with surgical precision, hacking control systems, redirecting weapons, and turning the platform's own defenses against the enemy. "Prepare to fire on my mark," Hilaire said, voice calm despite the chaos around her. "We end this now." On the bridge of the Coalition flagship, Tkar watched in horror as his war platform turned on its own fleet. "Impossible. They know. How can this be happening?" Hilaire's voice carried across the comm. "This is humanity. You underestimated us. That was your first mistake. Your last mistake is trusting that you could stop us." Simultaneously, fleets across the system executed daring maneuvers that defied conventional calculations. Gravity wells, plasma storms, and magnetic anomalies were exploited to maximum effect. Coalition ships were stranded, crippled, or destroyed, while human and allied ships advanced with terrifying precision. By the end of the engagement, over 70% of the Coalition's fleet was destroyed, and their remaining forces scattered into retreat. The war platforms on multiple planets were neutralized. Humanity had delivered a decisive, total victory. In the aftermath, the galaxy was silent. Systems that had long feared human aggression now trembled with newfound respect. Minor races flocked openly to humanity's banner. The remaining alien powers convened in secret, their arrogance replaced with caution, their fear tempered with admiration. On Earth, President Kayla Renner addressed a planet united in triumph. Humanity has endured, adapted, and risen. We have faced the impossible and emerged victorious. Let every star system know this: humans do not merely survive. Humans prevail. We are the storm the galaxy underestimated, and the galaxy has learned to fear our resolve. Admiral Navarro, standing on the bridge of the Ascendant 4, gazed into the stars, his eyes reflecting both relief and the weight of command. We fought, we lost, we adapted, and we triumphed. The galaxy has changed. And humanity stands eternal. Ilara Voss, aboard the Dauntless, looked out at the Centauri expanse, now calm after the storm. We are not conquerors, she said quietly. We are survivors. But the galaxy will never forget what it means to face humanity. In distant sectors, alien fleets began rebuilding, but the lesson had been etched into the consciousness of every species. Humans are apex, humans are relentless, and humans are not to be underestimated. And so, as the stars shimmered in the aftermath of the greatest conflict the galaxy had ever known, humanity emerged not only victorious but legendary. From the ashes of war, a new era dawned, a galaxy forever aware of the species that had risen from a small, fragile world and taught the cosmos why humans were feared above all. The war was over. The storm had passed. Humanity remained, unbroken, supreme, and eternal.